Did you see the video with I don't know when it came out. It's Adam Carolla sat down with Tucker Carlson. Did you see that?
What did they talk about?
They talked about like California. They talked about the homeless epidemic that's here in California and how I'm going to try and quote it right, how he says the government just kind of looks a blind eye because we are a city and a state that lives on permits and parking and licenses, and we just want that money, so it's like if he says something, Forest Lawn Memorial, like how you look across the way and there's all these immigrants and whatnot like selling flowers, but like a woman driving without a license plate, she'll get pulled over and charged, but all these other people, it was kind of interesting. And I hate being like, oh, Tucker Carlson, but it was actually a really interesting interview.
That's probably a good point.
Yeah.
California would care about the homeless if we could get money from them.
If we could get money from them.
Sure.
And on the way over here too, I was just looking at all these tents and it's just so fucking sad. It's so sad.
It's really sad, and it keeps growing.
It keeps growing. I live in West Hollywood, and I remember like a couple of years ago, because it went from downtown, and then downtown pushes them all out, so they keep going west. Some go to the beach, some go to Santa Monica, but now it's like I live in an area that 6-7 years ago it was fine, but now it's like even on the way to go get coffee this morning, I walk everywhere I go. It's like I saw like three homeless people just outside, just screaming at nothing. They're in tattered clothes and they're dirty and they're, I used to work with a girl years ago at a restaurant when I waited tables, and she's now homeless and she's like out of her mind, and I feel bad.
Was she always out of her mind?
No, her name was Lotus. She did yoga, and now
what happened?
I don't know.
Did you try to talk to her?
I did. It was like I got to watch the progression of the illness. Yes. So I would see her every now and then. I was like, hey, what's going on? Because like back when the recession happened, we were raiding tables, so we bounced from job to job because one day we'd go to work and there'd be chains on the door because they couldn't pay us. So we had this little kind of group that we would go apply together at different jobs. And then I started seeing her out on the street, just walking around. I was like, "Hey, what's going on? Hope you're doing well." Da, 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 da. And she just kind of never let me know how she was really doing. And then like a couple of years would go by, and I'd see her, and I'm like, she looks a little out of it. And I would say hi to her, and she wouldn't respond. And then now it's full on, like teeth are missing, and running down the street crying. And it just breaks my heart because it's like I don't know what to do, and I don't know if she would be willing or.
How tight were you with her? You had her phone number?
No. I don't even know if she has a phone. I can't.
Right, but did you at one point in time?
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's just that like inner guilt, and you're just like, God, how did it get so bad? She had an apartment. I think her parents passed away, and that might have like set her, spiraling. But yeah, I remember just like doing a spot at the Laugh Factory one night and walking outside, and how they just keep everyone outside, like you do. and she just like barreled through everybody just screaming nonsense and like shit, like teeth missing, and it's just sad. It's just really, really sad. And then I'm at the gym working out, and I'll see her like down there, with her garbage and everything, and she doesn't. It's just sad. It's a lost cause.
When you knew her, she didn't seem like she had any mental health issues?
No.
Really?
No. I mean, she would do yoga. I mean, I remember her. She was always sweet. Lotus. Her name was Lotus Harmony, which I don't know if that's a real name. But at the time, that's how I knew her. And she was always just this sweet lady, just beautiful skin, beautiful smile, always in a good mood. When she got mad, you were like, oh, man, Lotus is pissed, because she was always so friendly.
Positive.
And then now you're just like, damn. And I just want... I don't know what to do. I would love to help her because it just breaks my heart. Homeless people break my heart, but female homelessness really, really is sad for me.
Yeah, because we're sexist.
Well, it's.
I feel the same way.
It's just like someone's daughter, someone's wife, someone's just out there, vulnerable to the elements and predators, and it's just, it breaks my heart.
No, it's awful, but I think most of what you're seeing with homeless people is people that are severely mentally ill. So you got to wonder, like, what caused... Maybe she was on medication and her insurance ran out.
Yeah.
She couldn't...
Full-on Joker. Yeah.
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 Dude, that's real.
It is real.
It's fucking real. There's a lot of people out there with giant mental health issues.
Yeah. I know several people who... they would have anxiety. A guy that I used to date, it's like, we dated for a long ass time, but it's like if he didn't have his anti-anxiety, yeah, like, and he got off that. I mean, he would full on have a panic attack, and that would get dirty, and I had to witness that, which was insane.
Yeah, people that lose it because of they're off their medication.
Yeah,
that's a sad situation because you're always going to be tethered to this thing that
Good
keeps
word,
you sane.
by the way. You used it twice today.
Did I?
Yeah, you said it earlier before we started.
I think I probably use it all day.
Yeah.
I just hope it works.
Tethered Tuesday. Hashtag Tethered Tuesday.
It's, like what happens to them if the fucking coronavirus hits and they get locked indoors for 6 months?
And you just become agoraphobic and lose your shit?
Well, we were talking about this the other day that most of what this is all happened from the Reagan administration. During the Reagan administration, they changed the standards of what it means to be mentally ill, and they just released people from asylums because they didn't want to pay for it all.
Mm-hmm.
And, look, if LA is a city of 20 plus million people, which is as many people in LA as I think is in all of Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. Think about the amount of money and that they can't make asylums here. Think about how many abandoned buildings there are.
True.
Think about how much money would it cost? There's currently somewhere in the neighborhood of 70,000 homeless people.
Yeah, they said there was some statistic that said there's more empty apartments in this town than homeless people.
The thing is, though, that those folks don't just need a place because they'll fuck that place
they
up
need
and
rehabilitation.
Punch holes in the wall and shit in there and stuff.
Smear it.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Yeah.
What they need is help, and they need medication, and they need counseling, and they need. And some people, I'm not a mental health expert. Some of them you might not be able to do anything to. Some are so gone, you might not. And also they get so filled with despair.
Yeah.
I knew a bunch of guys that were homeless back from my pool hall days. There was a bunch of guys that would hang around the pool hall. They would even sleep on the floor. And, I knew guys who'd try to sleep in people's couches. They'd sleep at the bus stops. And then they'd come to the pool hall and try to hustle up enough money to get some drugs. And they were stuck in this place where they could never get past where they were. They were just in a rut, and they could never get out of it. And it was just...
It's heartbreaking.
Despair.
Yeah.
There's so much despair.
Because you're just like, what happened? For instance, the other day, I'm walking down Santa Monica Boulevard over by Barney's Beanery, and I just hear a... And I look over, and this kid's like, had to be 22, 23 years old. And I was like, what happened? Where are your parents?
One too many auditions. Blew a fuse.
Yeah. Just snapped. If I hear no one more time.
No!
Yeah. I know.
CIA dropped him, and he's just out there ranting and raving.
Dropped him. I'll show you, Hollywood Reporter.
You motherfuckers.
God.
There are people, though, that you meet in this town where you meet them early in their journey, and they still have hope. Like, it's not worked out yet, but I'm going to make it. And then you run in comics.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think it's so relatable in our field as well because you know those people.
Yeah, we do know those people.
I want to say I almost was one of those people.
Were you?
Oh, yeah.
When?
What time?
Give me a time where it was like
2002 and then 2005 and then
really
2000. Yeah, there were several.
I didn't meet you until when? 2007-ish?
I want to say, I think I met you at the Ice House when we were podcasting out there. Yeah,
that's
and then when you came back to the store,
that was like 2014.
Yeah, that's when I saw you again, and even then it was like I'm making it work. And I remember you looked at me and you go, "You're the weirdest gay guy I've ever met," and I was like, "Fuck yeah."
Why did I say that?
I don't know.
We were probably all really high.
Yeah, probably so.
I probably didn't know what I was saying when I was saying it.
Yeah, but I feel like that's. You get through that struggle and you get through the years of being hungry and the years of like, can I pay my rent this year? And you do whatever you can to just scrounge everything up and do it.
So you had those moments where you're like, this might not work out. I might go crazy.
Or what's my other option? Move home. Or suicide.
Damn.
Yeah. This town's hard. It's very hard.
Well, it's also, you see so many people that are doing well, right? Like, it seems so far out of reach. Like, when you're broke and you see some guy driving by in a Mercedes convertible, you're like, You know, you see these people going into those big high rises off of La Cienega, you know, doormen there and everything.
But no one lives there.
No one lives there?
Oh, no one can afford that shit. Are you kidding me?
What are you talking about?
I mean, there's maybe like, what I've heard is that they build those, and then the Saudis want their kids to come to school here and get an American education, so they just buy them for them. But nobody...
Have you done any research on this, or is this just...
I've overheard some things.
Well, you know, there is good evidence that lion's mane also compensates in many of these neurogenic benefits that psilocybin does.
Stuff all the time. This is like a lion's mane elixir that I pour. Tell me if that shit's any good.
Well, it comes from China, and
is that bad?
Every Chinese expert that I've met said I wouldn't dare buy a mushroom from China.
Jesus Christ!
So we have a spoonable lion's mane.
See what you got.
And I put that in smoothies all the time, and that's my go-to. And that's exactly the research.
Can I put it in coffee?
Yeah, I put it in coffee. And Jamie, can you pull up that?
How much should I put in
the
here?
neurogenesis benefits of lion's mane?
How much should I put in here? Ooh, it's open. It's not open yet, right?
No, it's
How
sealed.
much can I put in there?
I'd put about a teaspoon. And stir it in.
About that?
But that's good. And the neurogenesis, this company in France that we did the neurogenic tests with found that the mycelium was far more active than the mushroom fruit bodies. And so the lion's mane stimulates neurite outgrowth and basically extends the nerves from growing compared to baseline.
Yeah.
So in 7 to 12 days, a substantial up to 22% increase in neurite outgrowth. What we found was actually one was at 8%, one was at 12%, and then separately we stacked it with an analog of psilocybin. And rather than that being the arithmetic additive of cumulative, we found a synergy. So we think that lion's mane, the research has shown it increases myelin regeneration on the sheath of the nerves. And the psilocybin proliferates nerve tip growth.
So it should conceivably help you learn.
This is an example. This is unexpected result. This is lion's mane mycelium that's showing a 14.8% over baseline. Then we have a psilocybin analog that didn't do all that great.
Which analog is this again?
I'm going to describe the analog for now.
Okay.
For obvious reasons, but it's a legal analog. It creates a 7% outgrowth of neurites. But then we stacked it with lion's mane and the psilocybin analog. There's a theoretical additive effect, 114 plus 107, 122. But we got 136. Statistically significant. The outlier actually is even higher. So the neuroscientists in France that did this study was extremely excited. And we found that the more we titrated it to greater dilution, the more active it becomes.
What's that mean?
Well,
titrate? What does that mean?
Well, maybe we're diluting it. And these are human cells, pluripotent stem cells. And what we found was originally we were told it's called 3 micrograms per milligram, or 3 micrograms, a millionth of a gram. But when we went back to 0.03, 100 times less, the neurogenic benefits became greater. Now, there's something called the PK conversion, the pharmacokinetics. When you ingest something, only a small portion of it may make it into your bloodstream. So, but the good news is that these things are so non-toxic and they're so potent. Now, looking at the dosing regimen, it appears so far, we haven't done this clinically, this is human cells in vitro, but this laboratory is predictive of neurogenic compounds, that the neurogenic benefits are so substantial that the PK conversion of ingesting them can be seen in the bloodstream as a fairly good conversion rate. So for instance, if you take vanillic acid, vanilla, about 2% will make it into your bloodstream. So if you take 1 whole gram of vanilla, only 2% actually gets in your bloodstream. So that's the PK conversion. So what we're seeing is right now is the potency of this is so strong at lower and lower dilutions, we're getting more and more potency. So I like to say dilution is a solution to profitability. The more that we dilute, the more potent it becomes. So this is why the neuroscientists in France are doing the study going, this stuff is so potent, please dilute it. So,
wow.
And so we see this as a tremendous horizon, that lion's mane's legal. It's an edible and choice mushroom, 1,000-year history of use. We found that the mycelium is far more potent than the mushrooms for really good reasons. Some of the compounds are called aranacines, and these are actually discovered by Kawagishi in 1994, looking for an antibacterial agent. And so when he was looking at the mycelium fighting bacteria, he found that the mycelium expressed this antibacterial cythine derivative, and he gave it the name aranacine after Hericium aranaceus, just like penicillin is named after penicillium. And so he stumbled on the fact that it has neurogenic properties and antibacterial properties. So the mycelium is navigating through the ground through a hostile environment. It's only one cell wall thick. The mycelium has an immune system that's operational between like 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Celsius. That's the window it is growing in. So its immune system is operative in that window. When you do super hot water extracts, you're in the extreme zone. That's not part of the immunological lifespan of the mushroom. You're decocting it. You're taking out ingredients, but you're not harnessing within the immunological window of temperatures that the mycelium has evolved to fight off pathogens. And so what we have found is the mycelium is far more active than the fruit bodies. This is all new science, but again, mushroomreferences.com is populated with dozens upon dozens of peer-reviewed articles showing the mycelium is far more active than the fruit bodies. And a whole genome sequencing of reishi, for instance, found 25% more genes coding for proteins are expressed at the mycelial state than at the mushroom state. Well, that makes sense because the mushrooms at the end of millions of cell divisions over months, years, even decades, finally produce a mushroom that rots in 5 days. Right. The mushroom doesn't need a good immune system. It's attracting mycovores, animals, deer. John just showed me some photographs of, he's going to show you, he was in a campground and found deer in the morning digging up mushrooms out of the ground. Well, animals engage
John
mushrooms.
Who?
You're one of your colleagues here. Or maybe it's Jeff. I'm sorry.
Jeff, one of the guys who works here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the idea, but mushrooms attract insects, people, animals, because they're fragrant. They're protein, they're nutritionally dense, and they want to engage humans. The mycelium is navigating through a microbially hostile environment. And a report came out in the literature of over 1,000 species of bacteria in a single gram. There's more than 8 miles of mycelium in a single cubic inch. So the mycelium is navigating through a hostile microbial environment. It's setting up guilds and microbiomes and collections of cooperating bacteria that can help them defend against pathogens.
Look at that. Estimated up to 8 miles of mycelium in a single inch of soil.
And it's only one cell wall thick.
That's such a weird looking image. So it's so hard to see what that is.
That's a mushroom that's melted back into the ground. It's mycelium that's just, now the mushrooms generate mycelium and it goes underneath the ground. So every time you're walking on the ground, you're walking upon miles of mycelium, and it knows that you're there. These are sensitive. These are not only externalized stomachs that are digesting nutrients and externalized lungs, exhaling carbon dioxide, inhaling oxygen, but I believe these are extant neurological networks of nature. When you see that pervasiveness of those cells, and the climate change scientists are coming around to this, 70% of the carbon biologically is stored in mycelium in the ground. The way to fight climate change is not only replanting trees, which is great, I love it, but it's the mycelial networks you're building in the humus that creates the soil, that creates the biodiversity, that then guarantees the health of the ecosystem. So it's the mycelial networks that govern, because they're so pervasive. They set up because of their antibacterial properties, their probacterial properties. Another example of this is in the microbiome of soils and inside of humans' stomachs. Turkey tail mushrooms and a placebo-controlled randomized clinical study with humans from some scientists associated with Harvard found that turkey tail mycelium is a prebiotic for the microbiome that feeds Bifidobacterium lactobacillus and suppresses Clostridium, which is an inflammatory bacterium. So it's really, really interesting that the mycelium is feeding nutrients to the beneficial bacteria within the microbiome that then gives us health. And so these are precursor nutrients that elevate the populations of the beneficial bacteria. So the two go hand in hand.
Now, what about edible mushrooms, things like shiitake and those type of mushrooms? Is there any nutritional benefit to those things?
Enormous nutritional benefit. And there's been 2 also meta-studies that have come out this year showing that the ingestion of mushrooms with elderly people over the age of 60, there's a 50% decreased odds of Alzheimer's-like symptoms with a population of people consuming 3 mushroom meals per week. Now, they didn't specify the mushrooms. This is called a Singapore, but the mushrooms they're commonly eating are oyster mushrooms, shiitake, and shimeji. And maybe some other mushrooms. But that's one meta study that came out. There was a study out of Japan from Dr. Ikikawa at the National Cancer Center that found statistically significant reduction in cancers across the board. I think 162,000 people in this data set. And he was sent over to the Nagano prefecture to look for this. Now, these are edible and delicious mushrooms. Also, they empower the immune system. Again, signal from the noise, statistically significant reduction in overall cancer rates associated with a food. The division now between, foods and medicines is blurred. And yet it speaks to Hippocrates in Dioscorides, stating that let food be thy medicine, medicine be thy food. So it's interesting because physicians have been taught, this sort of monomolecular approach to medicine, and now we're realizing that these foods are essential nutrients for your immune system that downregulates inflammation.
It's so interesting that we're learning all this during our lifetime too. So you would think that would all be established by now.
Well, I'm glad you asked that. We have a paper coming out in the next 2 or 3 days, maybe in the next week, and it's on turkey tail mycelium. They're grown on rice, and we were able to find out something that no one had been reported in the literature. The traditional Chinese medicine approach is that these are immunomodulators. They help the immune system, but they also are not inflammatory. When you have an immune response, oftentimes associated with an inflammatory response, blood rushes to the wound, you inflame, you have all these compounds that are being produced by the blood to suppress an infection. But you can overamp the immune system and have a pro-inflammatory response that can cause a lot of oxidative stress damage collaterally. And so the article that's just coming out with BMC, Biomed Central, Alternative and Complementary Medicine, peer-reviewed, we have found that the mycelium, when it grows on rice, bioferments the rice to then produce a unique immunological response that upregulates what's called interleukin-1RA and interleukin-10. These are anti-inflammatory cytokines. And so the mycelium doesn't do that, the mushrooms don't do that, but the mycelium is biofermented. The rice, like tempeh is transformed, or like yogurt comes from milk because of lactobacillus or acidophilus, and that transformation then makes a novel product. We have found the same thing, that the rice compared to the rice control has no anti-inflammatory properties. The mycelium, because of the extracellular metabolites, changes the rice into a unique immunological product that excites the expression of anti-inflammatory compounds while also exciting the pro-immune response. So it's a buffered response.
Well, did you see the San Francisco lady they just hired?
No.
They laid a czar to stop fat phobia. Have you seen this lady?
No.
It's wonderful. Hold, please.
Okay.
Let me say this, because this is a city that's completely crumbling, that has no resources,
but listen,
that has enough money to hire this person.
My daughter's in the 95th percentile right now, so I agree with her. I don't want anyone to make fun of fat people.
Oh, it's not making fun of fat people. It's literally like encouraging people to be fat.
Oh, they're encouraging to be fat.
Yeah. It's saying there's nothing wrong with being fat, which is crazy. It's one thing if you don't want to be mean to people because they're fat, yes. And,
right.
If you can encourage them to be healthy, yes. And, I'm not the expert on GLP-1 agonists, but this lady's out of her fucking mind.
Huh.
I think there's probably a lot of side effects to a lot of these drugs that people are taking to get skinny, but at least it's moving you in a right direction because being fat is killing you.
Yeah.
Right.
Jamie, I just texted it to you.
I'm actually giving, for Christmas, a few of my friends Wegovy.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm joking, but.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a nice bomb.
It was a nice bomb.
Yeah,
But at least we're not
serious.
talking about grizzly bears. If we're talking about grizzly bears, I know I'm really bombing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this. This is so crazy.
CRFI. If you're like many women, you've been to a birthday party or a small office gathering, an event that's meant to bring people together. There's swinging tunes, some adult beverages, and good convo. And then it comes time to cut the cake, and someone decides to ruin everything.
Oh my God, that slice is huge. That slice is bigger than Beyonce's paycheck. Can you cut me half of that?
A cake-related fat-phobic incident, or CRFI, is that moment when it's time to eat delicious cake and it's interrupted by a moralizing impulse. Inevitably, there's always someone at the party who has to declare publicly that their slice is too large, and that the person who's cutting the cake, almost invariably a woman, must do some disproportionate amount of labor in order to accommodate their need to feel superior. Let's take a look.
Can you do a little bit, just like, can you like scrape all the frosting off and cut it in half and give me 2 forks, because I'm sharing. Small, like a little bit more, like tiny, no, like less than what you're smaller, please.
Could you just cut my piece into 12 equal symmetrical little pieces and put each one into a tiny little Tupperware?
What the fuck
so
are they
that
talking
I can have
about?
a bite for each month of 2018. Thanks.
Smaller.
Let's take a step.
This is what, like, statistically, they've shown that 60% of liberal women are mentally ill. 60.
Right.
Well, how do you?
This is what that is.
This
is mental illness.
Who polls that?
Anybody who's answering a poll is mentally ill, so it's a bad sample
Yeah,
group.
I think it's a bad sample group. I don't think anyone who ever answers a poll is mentally sane. You know, they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but you can definitely judge a conversation by its haircut.
It's what it is.
That girl with the red hair, if I saw her, I'm staying far away from that
I
chick.
mean, Giannis,
I
let's
know
be
what
honest.
that combo's
Me
gonna
and you
be.
have kind of easier lives because our wives are Republican. Let's be honest. That's why.
Look,
It definitely
listen,
helps.
it just...
Well, it's not that she's Republican, Michael. She's an old school Latina where she's just more like, I don't know, Chris, you're going to have to get out there and work, get up there and fight. And when she hears shit, she's like, this is annoying. I got to take care of my kids. We got to do shit. I'm just not going to get sucked into the bullshit. She's kind of like just a, she's an old school woman. Old school women like that, that's how it is.
Yeah, that's
Yours
great. But
too.
what this is about is a complete collapsing of a civilization.
Yes.
San Francisco is woke peak. That's like the epicenter. That's the event horizon of wokeness.
Right.
And these motherfuckers who have no money for anything, they can't clean the shit, the human shit off the streets. They hired this lady to make the dumbest video about the size of cake. Like, isn't it okay to want a small piece of cake? Why do I have to eat a big piece of cake? And it makes you feel better?
Yeah.
Because you want to be a glutton
Yeah.
and just saddle up to that fucking cake and just shove it in your face?
Yeah.
Right.
And here's the thing. Those people are never going to be at a party with anyone who's ever going to judge them anyway. So who are they
Right.
even talking to?
Right.
You know?
Well, it's one girl who might not want to stuff her face.
Yeah, but at that
And
party...
they're like, come on. It's
Yeah.
like the
Right.
guy who wants you to keep drinking. That's all you had?
Right.
Have a shot. It's the same thing. Alcoholics always want you to do shots.
Sure.
Yeah.
People who are addicted to food want you to eat bigger slices of cake, and they make this ridiculous video. Like the mental gymnastics you have to do to make that video, and then
gross.
look at it and think, I think we're making a solid point.
Yeah.
We wanted to get one here. We're probably going to wind up doing that. Get one here.
You should, 'cause you
I
have the
two
sauna.
showers, and the shower next to the sauna is kind of useless.
So who uses the sauna here, Jamie?
Just me.
You don't use the sauna
He
here?
uses it
On
occasionally.
occasion, yeah. But I also had a gym I was going to for
Oh,
steam
you
room
do
and
use the
stuff like
sauna though, right?
that. Huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I
So-
use it every day. I usually use it at home, but sometimes I use it here when I like right after workouts. Like if I work out, I try to get a workout here before before I do podcasts, and I'll time it so that I have an extra hour so I can get in the sauna.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it makes a big difference for me. But I also I think it might be a little too much before. Like I'm always trying to regulate how much activity I do with whether or not I'm going to be exhausted when I do a podcast. Because I used to do yoga, and then I would come out. I would get out of yoga at 11 or at 10:30, and I would do a podcast at 12. And I was like, woof, I think I better wait till 1. Because I'd just be because 90-minute yoga classes in 105 degrees is fucking rough.
That's intense.
It's rough, yeah.
I've only done Bikram a couple times. I would love to like do it more. I loved it.
Yeah.
I really loved it.
Well, I would wonder, and I know there's supposedly some sort of Harvard study that's ongoing right now measuring all sorts of markers in people that have done hot yoga, and whether or not it mimics heat shock proteins that are created in the sauna. Because the thing is, like, you are getting this incredible cardiovascular exercise because your heart's beating like crazy. And, you know, you're not doing cardio per se, but your heart rate gets jacked because of the heat and the stress.
Totally.
And then on top of that, even though it's only 105 degrees, your body is heating up. You're really sweating up a storm in there. I mean, I've taken some friends there that have never experienced it before, and they're like, fucking yoga, come on, bro, yoga. And then they get in there, and then I look over at them 15 minutes in, and they're like, fucking A. And I'm like, yeah.
It is.
I told you, it's not what you think it is.
Because you're doing, like, yoga, even uncoupled from the heat stress, like the hot part, yoga is also, like, it's pretty intense, like holding those positions and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, your heart rate does start to elevate. I mean, it's like, just from that alone. Adding on the sauna, which mimics moderate physical activity, that's been shown, absolutely mimics it, and then all the studies that have shown that. On top of that, I mean, that's like it's super intense. It's super intense. The really cool thing about, and I want to get my mom. I think once we move the sauna like to our home where it's not like the office, like I want to people that are sedentary. And people that are sedentary for whatever reason, maybe they're sedentary because they're disabled, or maybe they're sedentary because they've had a lifetime of being sedentary, and it is just hard to get them motivated to go exercise. Like the sauna to me is like, that's so important because it's giving these people a potential cardiovascular workout. No, it is. That's been shown. It's giving them a cardiovascular workout without having to force them to go for a run or get on a bike. You know, that people think, like when you tell them go sit in the sauna, they think of like a spa. Like, yeah, I want to go do that. You get someone who's like my mom, who she's sedentary. You know, she's not like a physically active person, and she needs to be. But like the sauna, that's kind of my goal, is to get her doing, and we'll have to start slowly because you have to adapt. You know, the heat shock proteins help with that. The more times you're exposed to heat stress, and the more adapted you are, like the heat shock proteins increase quicker, and so it's part of the adaptation process as well of being able to handle the heat stress. But like I want to get her to do that because like any cardiovascular improvement is going to help her mood. It's going to help her all-cause mortality. That's been shown. 4 to 7 times a week, 40% lower all-cause mortality. Cardiovascular related mortality is 50% lower. So like I think that's a really cool thing about the sauna, is that you can get people that are disabled, people that can't go for a run. Yeah. I mean, I still think exercise, I mean, it's the best thing ever. Yeah. Period. For everything. Right. For everything. It's just going to overall improve the way you age, and that's going to make you more robust and resilient to anything. Yeah.
Sauna to me is there's so many benefits, but one of the big ones is that muscles feel better. They feel looser. They're not as sore. Like when I have hard workouts and I get in the sauna afterwards, I feel like my recovery is more rapid.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I don't do a lot of resistance training. Shame on me. I don't have that same perspective. But there have been studies, at least were localized heat on people that had a limb immobilized. I don't remember what limb it was, but after a week, people that had the local heat treatment, had almost 40% less muscle atrophy. And in huge in animal studies. And like I remember I like shared this animal study in an article I wrote years ago before the human study came out, and like there were critics, well, it's animals and blah blah blah, you can't say it does this. And I would get on the mechanism, and they showed it was heat shock proteins, and there's all and I was so happy when that human study came out, because it was like, told you motherfucker. Like that's what I wanted to say.
I think in moderation, and where I used to lift super heavy for power, like crazy heavy.
Well, you used to be a big motherfucker, right?
I was 70 pounds bigger than I am now. Yeah, that's
so big.
Well, I benched, my goal was to bench over 500. Now, for any dickheads emailing me, I cheated, right? I used steroids, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So, but I tell you what, when your wiener breaks from taking that, that'll make you stop doing anything, because that's what happened. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I got to where I could lift pretty much anything I wanted. I couldn't walk from me to Jamie and back without getting winded, and so, do like, I mean, I'll just. Can I just list what I took? It doesn't matter,
Sure.
right? So I was taking 250 milligrams or 1 milliliter of enanthate every 3 days. So basically, I was taking 3 shots a week of enanthate.
I don't know what that is. Is that hardcore stuff?
No, it's just testosterone, 250 milligrams.
Okay.
So I take 1 shot of that a week now for being on
Testosterone replacement therapy.
testosterone replacement. But I was also taking equipoise.
That's for horses.
Yes, it is. I was taking equipoise. I was taking that makes you super purple. Deca. I took trinobolin for a while, but I could not handle trin, dude. I hung a guy out of a building. Like, trin is not good. It's superhuman strength, aggressive, sex drive, but superhuman dickhead too. Like, it's just not for me. So I only took that for a little bit, and I didn't take it for that long. The one thing I found out is, one, there's a reason that you're not supposed to be on that shit. And I'm not a religious guy, so I'm not going to say God didn't mean you to be that way. But somebody didn't mean me to fucking be that way. Like,
well, you're monkeying with your structure, you know? Like, you have a chemical and biological and hormonal structure of your body, and you're monkeying with that. You know, you're adding massive amounts of muscle to your body. You're adding superhuman levels of hormones to your body.
Well, and like the first time I took equipoise, it's a horse decongestant. So I took it and I was
decongestion?
like, yeah, it's like cleans out the airways or opens up. It's a bronchial dilator. So I'm hacking shit up. I'm like, what am I getting sick? Well, it's because there was horses and pigs on the fucking container, right? Idiot, right? So, people ask me about it. I'm like, don't do it. Eat healthier, work out hard. Like, I lost everything anyway, but. So the problem is in the middle of that, they have Deca, and they call it Deca Dick, right? It makes you like no sex drive. And I wasn't taking anything to, because I watched Hidalgo, right? And the horse fell in the pit with my daughter, and I started crying. I don't cry.
What is Hidalgo?
It's a movie, right?
Okay.
Anyway, horse falls in the pit, and the horse gets like a spear in its leg, and I'm crying. I'm like, what in the fuck is wrong with me? Well,
you're emotional.
Jesus, my estrogen levels were like through the roof. So I looked, and like an idiot, I had 200 milligram per milliliter Deca, and then I had another bottle that was like 400 or something, and I got them mixed up, so I was doubling up on Deca. Like I said, some of the dumber
How long did
shit.
you do this for?
Maybe a year and a half.
Did you get yourself checked out after it was over?
Oh, yeah.
Everything's okay?
Well, when I first got off, I wish I had a photo. I don't know if we could pull one up, how big I got. Dude, I look like that rock on Fantastic Four. It's fucking weird looking.
Dude, I had Ronnie Coleman in here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
First of all, what a great guy. So nice.
Yeah.
Like, so friendly and so happy, even though he's basically broken.
Yeah.
He's had, how many back surgeries did he say he had? Something crazy. Yeah, like more than 10 back surgeries.
I read an article that said 13, but I don't know.
And that was probably it. His entire back is basically fused.
Yeah.
But when you look at him, when he was Mr. Olympia, when he was winning,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean, that a human being can get that big.
Oh, it's insane. And I only scratched, like I didn't put the, he's done it his whole life, right? Those guys are freaks. Phil Heath lives by us in Denver. You'll see him every now and then, or you used to, and he's the new kind of one guy like Ronnie. Mm-hmm. The thing is, though, is like you go into a gym and grab 200-pound dumbbells and you start doing incline bench with no spotter. That grabbing some looks, but I genetically was not built to lift that heavy, right? Mm-hmm. There's some help involved in that. But I got to a point where I was super emotional, and not like I don't believe really in the roid rage thing, because I never got that.
What are you talking about? You're just telling me you're hanging a guy off the side of a building. That's roid rage.
Yeah, well, let me finish. Good point. But I think if you just take an increased amount of like testosterone and anabolic in general, if you're a happy guy, you're happy. If you're a sad guy, you're sad. And if you're a dickhead, you're more of a dickhead. The thing with, Tren, that's why I got off it. That was one thing for me that definitely, I was changing psychologically. Mm-hmm. When I got off, it was the problem. Like, emotionally, I was a wreck. Like, that's the closest. I'm not like a suicidal guy. Mm-hmm. That's the closest where my brain just didn't function right. And then I got off cold turkey, and whatever.
Well, that is a big issue with kids, young kids. Their endocrine system crashes, and just like we were talking about with soldiers that have been blown up a bunch, or football players or fighters, your body's not producing testosterone correctly. After you get off that shit, you get really, really depressed for some people.
Bigorexia is what they were telling me because I was afraid to go to the gym because I was shrinking. And,
right. Sleep is critical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know what is amazing for sleep, man? You know what you should get in your place? Get yourself a sauna.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You do 20
take cold
minutes
showers.
in the sauna. That's for fucking clowns. You wear a rubber nose when you do it?
Yeah. Hey, man.
I take cold showers after yoga.
You wear a rubber nose? Man, Joe's being mean to me. He called me a clown.
He's a fucking clown.
Fucking clown. I'm trying to create shock proteins.
Yeah.
Fuck those are.
You got to get really cold. You should have an ice bath. You want to do that.
I'll
But
do an ice bath. I've done that
Have you done
before.
cryo?
Yeah, I've done cryo.
Have you done the real one
At
when
the
your
Onnit
head
lab.
goes in? No,
did
you
it
did the
Onnit.
one where the neck below. Onnit has the bullshit one.
Really?
Yeah, the real one's only made by Cryo Healthcare. They have one in New York, or one center in New York. They have one in L.A. They have one here. They have one in Woodland Hills, like 10
Come
minutes
sit in an
away.
ice bath for 20 minutes and talk to me.
Okay.
You go numb.
It sucks, I'm sure.
It's a
But
bitch.
so does 250 degrees below zero.
Have you not done an ice
for
bath?
3 minutes? Yeah, I have. Come on, bro. It sucks.
All right, bro.
I get it.
Did you wear a
I sang.
clown nose? Burn. I just double burned him now.
Sing a song. I was singing.
Sing.
while I was in- yeah, it's not good. There's probably some real benefits to ice baths. The benefit of cryo over ice baths is you could work out right afterwards.
Oh, wow.
Ice baths, they recommend you not work out. They're like, you just chill out for a while. But it's great after you're working out. But for muscle strength and development, it's actually not good to do it right after training. You actually should wait quite a while, like maybe an hour or two.
So when you've had countless conversations with cutting edge scientists and exercise people, the 5 things that you do every day, like that without fail, what are they in terms of for your health?
First of all, I supplement. I think
You believe in supplements?
I believe absolutely wholeheartedly in supplements.
Like
I do
which
not-
though? What kind?
I take Athletic Greens. It's a sponsor. It's a great whole food supplement. I'm doing an ad for them right now. One serving has 12. One scoop has 12 servings of fruits and vegetables in terms of the amount of antioxidants you
Jesus.
get. It's very healthy. It's good just for like a backup plan.
Right.
Like I take these little packs with me on the road. I take a lot of the Onnit shit. I take obviously
I use
Alpha
Shroom Tech.
Brain,
That shit works.
Shroom Tech. You know, we have some awesome whole food supplements. There's a bunch of great stuff. I take a lot of vitamins. I take vitamin D. I take vitamin B. I take a lot of fish oil, a lot of essential fatty acids. I believe in all those things. I cut way back on my sugar. I mean, way back.
Yeah.
To where maybe once a week I'll have dessert.
Yeah,
Maybe
I feel
once
that.
a
I do
week.
that too.
Yeah, I don't fuck around, man.
Yeah.
I just
Do you
really-
intermittent fast?
Yes.
Me too.
16 hours a day.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, every day.
That makes me feel that. My psoriasis is 100% gone.
That's awesome.
Well, part of it's also, and I got to give a shout out to Dan Garner. Dan Garner 88 at Gmail. If you need his email, he's so he's the guy who.
What a terrible idea.
No,
That guy-
it's fine. It's fine. I want to promote him because
You know
he's
how many fucking people are going to email that guy pictures of dicks?
good. But a lot of people have psoriasis.
You ever talk to Wim Hof?
I know Wim.
Do you know Wim? Okay,
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah, oh,
'Cause
yeah.
Wim doesn't give a fuck if you breathe out of your nose or your mouth. He's like, just breathe, man.
I know. He
just
doesn't
breathe,
give
motherfucker. He's so crazy. I love that guy.
He's comedy. No, I've had a few. Wim and I've had a few. We've had a few experiences. Let's just put it that way. But we've had him at a couple of experiences, and I've done some stuff with Wim. I've known Wim for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years now, maybe a little longer. So he come usually when he was in town. I think the last time, maybe when you saw him, he comes to visit. So I get him. Usually when I go with Wim, I usually translate for him when he goes to one of his classes. I'm usually like trying to.
Oh right. Even though he
in
does
case people
sort of
don't
speak
understand.
English,
No,
yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying. Sometimes I'll be with somebody, and they'll be like, "What did he say?" I'll be like, "What he means is take a deep breath." And hold it.
Yeah, he's such a character.
He is a
man.
character.
The guy went to fucking the top of Everest barefoot.
Oh yeah.
Like what?
Oh yeah, I almost lost his toes too. Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. No, he goes.
Yeah.
Well, his art actually is tumo. Is a derivative of tumo, and I'm not sure if you know what tumo is, but tumo is a Himalayan breathing technique that the monks have. They have this one thing where they dry sheets. So they have this thing, a ceremony where they go at night in the Himalayas when it's frozen, it's snow, and the guy sits there and they put wet sheets, wet blankets on them, and they breathe and get their bodies so hot that they dry the blankets, and then the guy that can dry the most blankets at the end of the night is like the guy, but
really?
It's and it's called tumo, and it's you can go online and look it up, but tumo is a Himalayan breathing technique that was never exposed to Westerners until just as of recently, but Wim's work is a derivative of tumo. But nose breathing, it's all about nose breathing. It's all about nose breathing, and when you understand the science of it. But he's right about getting people to just breathe because people are not breathing. And we just had, in fact, we had another Belissa. What's her? I want to say it's a Russian name, but she has a great book. She trains fire and police and military breathing. We just had her we did an XPT in Miami about 2 weeks ago, and she came as a guest speaker and was working on really trying to create more volume, and then a lot of people's rib cages aren't moving, and so they have a whole there's ways to try to increase your movement of your rib cage. Your rib cage should actually open, like you can take a tape and measure your rib cage when you're fully exhaled, and then when you inhale it should expand 3 inches or more for you to be really optimally breathing. And a lot of people, part of it has to do with the whole six-pack abs and what's aesthetically pleasing. But meanwhile, when you have a real nice set of six-pack abs, you're not able to diaphragmatically breathe. You're not able to use your diaphragm. You're not using your diaphragm when you have that. Yeah, because the tightness isn't allowing the diaphragm to push down. The diaphragm and the pelvic floor actually squeeze your organs together, and that is actually massaging the organs, which influences your digestion and everything, and it deals with a bunch of acid reflux and a bunch of other things. But when the abs are so tight that the stomach can't expand, the organs can't push this belly out, then you have a limitation in your and then the ribs aren't moving. It's just.
But guys are going to hear this and go, "Good, I'm going to stay fat. I don't need a six-pack."
Well, but no,
I know what he's saying, though.
Yeah, but I actually, if you're really using your lungs, you'll strengthen your core in a way that you'll get core. You can have six-pack abs and not have core stability. So, and you know this. When you look at a lot of, not every single great fighter is just ripped.
No, some of the best ones ever are not ripped at all, like Fedor.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's talk about that for an example of, that aesthetic isn't always function, right? And of course the mind is always ahead of everything. I don't care what the car looks like if it's got no motor, it doesn't do anything. So it's the body only goes where the brain tells it. But the fact is that you see some of the best athletes. When you look at certain athletes, they're not the physical specimens that you've ever seen. You're like that guy's the most ripped and shredded. Sure. And a lot of times those guys get knocked out. You see the guy come in and you just go, "Oh, this guy's going to kill this guy," and then you just get annihilated by the guy that looks maybe not quite as hard, right? Part of it is genetics.
Max Holloway is a perfect example, Hawaiian guy.
Yeah,
he's not shredded. He's strong, obviously, but he looks more like a swimmer.
Yeah. Well, and you might find that his breathing. Yeah. He might have better air volume, because at the end of the day, a lot of it's about oxygen.
Cardio, and Max's cardio is off the charts.
Exactly. So he's getting more movement out of there. Again, we've created these, aesthetic things in our culture, like, six-pack abs, a sign of this and da-da-da. But when you look at real breath work and how the diaphragm works and how the ribs expand, you realize it's like none of us are really doing it right, and you can actually create more volume. You said you like cordyceps mushrooms.
Yes.
Well, those are actually a vasodilator. Those help you absorb oxygen. Those can up your VO2 max, right? There's only a couple things that how to increase your VO2 max, but cordyceps is one of them. Beets is another one. You can create more volume by expanding your lungs. So by opening the rib cage and creating more room, that can promote your VO2 max.
Now, when people are hearing this and they're hearing breath work, folks who have never done anything like that, they really don't understand what you're saying. Like, what do you mean by breath work? Like, give us an example of like a protocol.
Well, I mean, a real simple. I mean, they do it in pranayama. They have it in apnea. There's a thing called holotropic. But breath work really is when you isolate the breathing system, and the simplest way, and that's why Wim says, "Hey, I don't give a shit how you breathe. Just breathe,
motherfucker.
That's right.
Breathe.
Yeah. So, like we'll do a breath routine and we'll sit somebody down and we'll say, okay, breathe like you're running. Breathe like you're running. Mm-hmm. And we'll tell the guy, breathe like he's running. And they'll go, I go, that's a slow run, buddy. Like, breathe like you're running. Like, like anytime, any movement and any air in and out is a form of breath work, right? And especially when you isolate the system and you're not doing it because of an activity. The fact is that when you use that system and you work it and you're not detracting from it by doing an exercise. If you're doing the assault bike, well, your arms are working and your legs are working. So all the oxygen that you're absorbing is going into your arms and legs. When you're isolated and you just do the breathing alone, now the oxygen is going into that system and that system is going to develop and get better. Then when you do your assault bike, after you develop that system, so we'll isolate breath work and we'll just do it alone. Well, whether we're doing breath holds, we're doing some kind of apnea breath work, which is, we can do a pattern where you're doing like you hold for 30 seconds and then you breathe in for 15 and then you breathe out for 15 and then you hold again. Then you go in and out and hold, in and out and hold. That's one pattern. Another pattern is in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold. Like, again, and then there's pranayama, apnea, holotropic. There's just some where you're oxygenating the system where, like Wim's would be where you just get that rhythm going and do that for 5 minutes. And people go, oh, wow, I feel lightheaded. And I go, yeah, because you haven't had oxygen like that in your head. You haven't had oxygen in your system like that, right? So again, bringing consciousness to your breath. We're not just walking along in life like not thinking about breathing. Mm-hmm. That's the beginning of breath work. Just awareness of, hey, I need to... I just need to breathe in and out,
just
right?
To stay conscious. Yeah, and that's a big one with martial arts. You see in jiu-jitsu with beginners, when they first start sparring for the first time, they panic and they have shallow breath. And you got to tell them, okay, stop right now. Just breathe. Just breathe.
Oh, yeah. Well, fight or flight.
Yeah.
Fight or flight.
But it's interesting how they can't get a deep breath.
Yeah.
They hyperventilate.
Yeah, well, you put somebody in the ice for the first time that hasn't done it.
Oh, yeah. That's the craziest.
You want to see it?
Right?
That's an instantaneous. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't breathe.
Oh, yeah.
But you eventually learn.
Well, the system turned. That's actually an involuntary response to get out.
Mm-hmm. Right. You have the option, so you should exercise that option.
Well, that's an involuntary response. That's your subconscious mind protecting the organism. Like, hey, your body intuitively knows this is dangerous environment. Get out. And so that reaction is to get you to get out. When you make a conscious effort to not leave that environment, then the body goes, oh, okay, you're not going to get out. Okay, well, now I'll organize. I'll bring the blood to the organs. Mm-hmm. I'll adjust everything. I'll boost your hormones. Yeah. And then pretty soon you don't get that response anymore. Once you do it on a regular basis, the body just goes, oh, here we are again, back to that ice thing. Bring the blood, boost the hormones, bring all the blood in the organs, that. So, but that's a similar thing to what you're talking about in jiu-jitsu, where people are the stress on the system. They're stressed, and so they're involuntarily, and that's fight or flight. One thing you can really do to calm a kid down is the way you get yourself into parasympathetic, where you bring your thing down, is when you extend your breath for 7 seconds on the inhale and the exhale. That'll bring everything down. Like if you want to calm down and your kids stress, your little kids and you get them to just breathe in for 7 seconds.
Yeah.
And I tell people, think about a sigh.
My youngest daughter, when she would get upset, she would do that. She would, and I'd try, like, you got to breathe, calm down.
But 7 seconds is a magic number.
Yeah.
If you can extend the breath for 7 seconds, then the body goes into parasympathetic, and totally that's what you do to like go to sleep at night. Like if you're having a hard time. So there's a bunch of stuff to learn about the breath, which is amazing. I think the reason why the breath has always been so important to me is just because of the ocean.
Sure.
Because growing up when you almost drowned 1,000 times, air is important. You get to you just get to appreciate like there's none down there, and it's all up there, and so be cool down there, so when so you can get back up.
Well, I learned breath work because of Hicks and Gracie. I mean, watching Hicks and Gracie practice yoga.
He's a friend.
Oh, you know Hickson?
Yeah.
You know he does that. What is that called? That stomach thing. What is that stomach thing called?
Well, that's the pranayama.
Yes, but there's a name for it.
Yeah, where you twist the.
He really sucks his organs up in. His son can do it amazingly. Crone can do it amazingly.
Yeah,
it's
super good for you.
Well,
good for the organs.
Yeah. And that the ability to control your breath like that is so critical when you're sparring. So critical to get oxygen in these long training sessions.
Well, for your life.
Yeah.
For your life. Anytime you're in the stress, if you can control your breath, that controls your heart rate.
Yeah. Do you ever do 30 seconds in, 30 seconds out? Do you ever do that?
Yeah.
Just slow, deep breaths in, slow, deep breaths out. That's an amazing exercise.
Yeah. Well, that's the extension of that. That 7. Parasympathetic, that's bringing it. 7's just the minimum amount. But whenever you go into any of those long extended stuff, and then those breath holds, anytime you hold the breath, then you get that CO2 level, and that's what gives you the angst to, what's interesting, because, Wim's done like some record breaking stuff, and you have that free diving stuff where they scrub oxygen, where they hyperventilate and scrub the CO2 and get that real low, but you have to be careful about shallow water blackout. So we don't really practice any of that stuff. We do more like assault bike, jump in the pool and see how long you can hold your breath. And then 5, 10 seconds is like, that's big time. 15 seconds, you're like, wow, that was amazing. At maximum heart rate, how long can you hold your heart? I mean, how long can you hold your breath? That's a challenge.
So you keep an assault bike right next to the pool?
Yeah. Yeah, just for
so
punishment.
You get one to roll, you roll it into the sauna.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. God, man.
There's always another, twist to the pretzel.
Losing their job, maybe one of those things could also cause this trigger.
Well, we know with all mental health, all aspects of mental health, all mental health problems, there are 3 kinds of cause, right? There's, in my book Lost Connections, which is about depression and anxiety, is a lot about this. There are biological causes, things like your genes, real brain changes, things like the introduction of a drug. There are psychological causes, which are how you think about yourself and your place in the world, and then there's environmental causes like how we live with each other, things like loneliness, that sort of thing. And in all mental health phenomena, to some degree, these 3 sets of causes play out. So let's think about even something very dementia. Dementia obviously has a heavy biological driver, right? Dementia is a physical degeneration of the brain or a disease like Alzheimer's. But even with dementia, which has this very heavy biological driver, we know there are big social and psychological effects that can mitigate it. So if you're part of a strong community and have lots of social connections, if you have a positive self-image, if you speak other languages, your dementia will develop significantly more slowly than if you don't have any of these factors, right? So with things like psychosis, there's a brilliant person called Professor Tanya Lerman at Stanford University, who's done really interesting research on this. I haven't looked into it in great detail, but I interviewed her, who's shown, so we know recovery from psychosis and schizophrenia is much stronger in African countries than it is in the United States, right? And it's not a genetic thing, because Africans who come to the United States end up having the American level of recovery, not the African level of recovery. And again, it's a while since I spoke to her, and I don't want to overstate my confidence about this, but there are people, I think, including her, who argue in part what's going on is, in many, not all, some places it's really brutal, but in many parts of Africa, you remain part of the community even if you have these mental health problems, right? They have much stronger social connections. It's a study that asks Americans, how many close friends do you have who you could turn to in a crisis? And when they started doing it years ago, the most common answer was 5. Today, the most common answer is none, right? It's not the average, but it's the most common answer. Half of all Americans asked how many people know you well, say nobody, right? It's a huge amount of evidence. Loneliness, is toxic for human beings. Lonely people, as a guy who did a lot of experiments on this here in LA, lonely people exposed to the flu virus and the cold virus and the colds are way more likely to actually get them than non-lonely people. Right? It's just devastating for your physical and mental health to be lonely. There's other things going on. So I think there's a whole range of things that are going on with all mental health problems. I don't know how this relates to cannabis and psychosis. I don't know. But we know with psychosis, there's a big debate about this. Immigrants are more likely to have psychosis than non-immigrants. There's a whole, lots of environmental factors playing out, even in extreme mental health problems. Like, now I want to stress they're not the only thing. There are real biological aspects as well, which are clearly very significant in things like schizophrenia, and play some role in things like depression for a lot of people. But yeah, does that make sense?
Was it? I mean, sort of, yeah. I mean, obviously there's varying biological factors, but the cultural factors make sense. The fact that these people in Africa are not, they're not expelled from the community. So they have a sense of bond, and maybe it's more easy to recover. And one of the things that you hear about, part of the problem with mental illness, is that people with mental illness are pushed away. People don't want to deal with their problem, and it exacerbates whatever is causing it in the first place.
Do everything in moderation, and where I used to lift super heavy for power, like crazy heavy.
Well, you used
now,
to be a big motherfucker, right?
I was 70 pounds bigger than I am now. Yeah, that's
so big.
Well, I benched, my goal was to bench over 500. Now, for any dickheads emailing me, I cheated, right? I used steroids, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So, but I tell you what, when your wiener breaks from taking that, that'll make you stop doing anything, because that's what happened. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But I got to where I could lift pretty much anything I wanted. I couldn't walk from me to Jamie and back without getting winded. And so, I'll just, can I just list what I took? It doesn't matter,
Sure.
right? So I was taking 250 milligrams or 1 milliliter of enanthate every 3 days. So basically, I was taking 3 shots a week of enanthate.
I don't know what that is. Is that hardcore stuff?
No, it's just testosterone, 250 milligrams.
Okay.
So I take 1 shot of that a week now for being on
testosterone replacement therapy.
testosterone replacement. But I was also taking equipoise.
That's for horses.
Yes, it is. I was taking equipoise. I was taking that makes you super purple. Deca. I took trinobolin for a while, but I could not handle trin, dude. I hung a guy out of a building. Like, trin is not good. It's superhuman strength, aggressive, sex drive, but superhuman dickhead too. Like, it's just not for me. So I only took that for a little bit, and I didn't take it for that long. The one thing I found out is, one, there's a reason that you're not supposed to be on that shit. And I'm not a religious guy, so I'm not going to say God didn't mean you to be that way, but somebody didn't mean me to fucking be that way. Like,
well, you're monkeying with your structure. You know, like you have a chemical and biological and hormonal structure of your body, and you're monkeying with that. You know, you're adding massive amounts of muscle to your body. You're adding superhuman levels of hormones to your body.
Well, and like the first time I took equipoise, it's a horse decongestant. So I took it and I was
decongestion?
like, yeah, it's like cleans out the airways or opens up. It's a bronchial dilator. So I'm hacking shit up. I'm like, what am I getting sick? Well, it's because there was horses and pigs on the fucking container, right? Idiot, right? People ask me about it. I'm like, don't do it. Eat healthier, work out hard. Like, I lost everything anyway, but so the problem is in the middle of that, they have Deca, and they call it Deca Dick, right? It makes you like no sex drive. And I wasn't taking anything to, because I watched Hidalgo, right? And the horse fell in the pit with my daughter, and I started crying. I don't cry.
What is Hidalgo?
It's a movie, right?
Okay.
Anyway, horse falls in the pit, and the horse gets like a spear in its leg, and I'm crying. I'm like, what in the fuck is wrong with me? Well,
you're emotional.
Jesus, my estrogen levels were like through the roof. So I looked, and like an idiot, I had 200 milligram per milliliter Deca, and then I had another bottle that was like 400 or something, and I got them mixed up, so I was doubling up on Deca. Like I said, some of the dumber
How long did
shit.
you do this for?
Maybe a year and a half.
Did you get yourself checked out after it was over?
Oh, yeah.
Everything's okay?
Well, when I first got off, I wish I had a photo. I don't know if we could pull one up, how big I got. Dude, I look like that rock on Fantastic Four. It's fucking weird looking.
Dude, I had Ronnie Coleman in here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
First of all, what a great guy. So nice.
Yeah.
Like, so friendly and so happy, even though he's basically broken.
Yeah.
He's had, how many back surgeries did he say he had? Something crazy. Yeah, like more than 10 back surgeries.
I read an article that said 13, but I don't know.
And that was probably it. His entire back is basically fused.
Yeah.
But when you look at him, when he was Mr. Olympia, when he was winning,
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean, that a human being can get that big.
Oh, it's insane. And I only scratched, like I didn't put the, he's done it his whole life, right? Those guys are freaks. Phil Heath lives by us in Denver. You'll see him every now and then. You used to, and he's a new kind of one guy like Ronnie. Mm-hmm. The thing is, though, is like you go into a gym and grab 200-pound dumbbells and you start doing incline bench with no spotter. That grabbing some looks, but I genetically was not built to lift that heavy, right? Mm-hmm. There's some help involved in that. But I got to a point where I was super emotional and not like I don't believe really in the roid rage thing because I never got that.
What are you talking about? You're just telling me you're hanging a guy off the side of a building. That's roid rage.
Yeah, well, let me finish. Good point. But I think if you just take an increased amount of like testosterone and anabolic in general, if you're a happy guy, you're happy. If you're a sad guy, you're sad. And if you're a dickhead, you're more of a dickhead. The thing with, Tren, that's why I got off it. That was one thing for me that definitely, I was changing psychologically. Mm-hmm. When I got off, it was the problem. Like emotionally, I was a wreck. Like that's the closest, I'm not like a suicidal guy. Mm-hmm. That's the closest where my brain just didn't function right. And then I got off cold turkey and
that is a big issue with kids, young kids. Their endocrine system crashes, and just like we were talking about with soldiers that have been blown up a bunch, or football players or fighters, your body's not producing testosterone correctly. After you get off that shit, you get really, really depressed for some people.
Bigorexia is what they were telling me because I was afraid to go to the gym because I was shrinking. And,
right.